When the Apostle Paul warned us in this passage, he warned us against listening to those who with smoothness of speech would indeed deceive us. And what have we done? To show you the degree of our deception, now we glamorize the criminal. We are far more concerned about the condition of the criminal and his background and his environment. And instead of laying him to blame, instead of holding him accountable for his crime, we want to talk about his environment and what he did not have. And so we glamorize, place them on the television, put them in the magazines. Instead of giving them what is due them, we glamorize them while the poor victims of the criminals go on and on, year after year, suffering as a result of the crime. Evidence of the deceit, evidence of the lie that we have accepted, evidence of the decisions made by men who are deceived by the blindness of their own self-will from the very truths that has made us great. Now, anytime men depart from the moral law of God, anytime men say there is no accountability, there is no moral law of God, there is no God, man is simply the result of the evolutionary process. I want you to mark this down. Man always chooses, because he is depraved by nature, because he is evil by nature, man always seeks his lowest level once he begins to move away from the law of God. It is interesting to me today to listen to people so-called intelligent on the talk shows and the talk programs, blasting away at the Bible and Jesus and Christ and God and the church. But here's one thing they cannot deny. History proves in this past generation, when man chooses to move away from the law of God, he seeks the lowest moral, he seeks the lowest moral level. And so what happened? As all this began to happen, we chose to have a sexual revolution. Man, in his search for something to satisfy this deep inner need, and now a whole generation of people being told there is no God, Christ is just another person, he can't do anything for you, left men with a problem in life. Where is the meaning to life? Where is the purpose to life? Where is their direction for life? And all of the money and all of the prestige and all the power and all the position has never satisfied anything in the human heart. And so what happens? Man begins to seek his lowest level, and sexual indulgence is always a part of that. And so there began to flourish in this nation under the freedom of speech, a whole world of pornography, a multi-billion-dollar business that makes women things and objects. And for the price of several dollars, it is paraded across this land, a multi-billion-dollar business. They deny it, but there are stacks and stacks and stacks of evidence to prove this, that where there is a lessening of the laws and restrictions against pornography, there is a tremendous rise in the rape of women. That survey in Australia, 169% increase. In America, 139% increase. I want to ask the men who love their wives, who love their daughters, how long are you going to sit and be quiet when there are those out there promoting pornography that endanger your wife and your daughter? How long are we going to allow them to simply say this is freedom of speech? A multi-billion-dollar business that is absolutely destroying the minds and the families of America. And as that sexual explosion continues, because we are deceived people and because we say, well, everybody should have the right to do anything they please, anywhere they please, homosexuality, which God hates, which God says is a sin, which God says He will judge, which God says He will turn them over to, has become an acceptable lifestyle in America. And I want to remind you, God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because of the sin of homosexuality. But to show you how deceived we are, you would think with the coming of AIDS that people involved in homosexuality would have enough sense to begin to think about their own safety and their own life. But not so. In order to protect their desire to sin against God and to indulge themselves in unrestrained sexual indulgence, now they want minority status all across this land. And knowing that this whole nation and the world is threatened by the disease, by the plague of AIDS, they are willing to threaten the lives of multiplied millions and millions of innocent people in order to engage in their own unrestrained sexual indulgence. I'll tell you, that is deceit to the very limit of a man's deceit. $8.5 billion it will cost Americans in health care alone by 1992 because of AIDS. Who do you think is going to foot that bill? Do you think that the health care in America can continue when hundreds and thousands and maybe several millions of people begin to die? You think we're going to have a quick fix for AIDS when by its very nature and the very attitude of those involved and engaged seemingly care nothing or little for innocent people who want no part of that lifestyle? That shows you how deceived we are as a nation. The news media, in their rush to have the highest rates in all the ratings, are willing to drop their standards to show more nudity, more violence, more crime, more profanity. Words that you and I had our mouths washed out in private for are now words that are voiced on the television, on the radio, with no apology whatsoever. Man reaches his lowest level when he departs from God. In our school system, it isn't enough just to take God out of the school, but now we have to put sex in the school. And those people who are on school boards who understand what's going on know that we are now beginning to teach our children what we call sex education, which the truth is, if you and I as adults were to look at it, we'd say this is nothing but pure pornography. That's the way it looks. My friend, listen, many adults cannot handle the whole problem of sex today, let alone little children. I want to tell you something, and I want you to listen carefully. America does not love her children. Shall I give you proof? America does not love her children. We put them in school and put upon them emotional weight about sex, teaching them to accept that all sexual lifestyles are acceptable. Is it any wonder that they're becoming pregnant so early in life? That so many of them are indulging in sexual experiences so early in life? And those who are deceived, I'm telling you, you've got to be deceived to think that children and teenagers indulging themselves in all types of sexual experiences, do you think they're going to grow up with happy marriages? Do you think they're going to grow up with guiltless lives when they have indulged in sex for years and years and years and then finally choose to marry someone not knowing who and who does not have AIDS?